Something that I have noticed that is quite common within people my age, I'm 18, even younger or older, just kind of my generation, is that everyone has a very nihilistic attitude. And by nihilistic, I mean the kind of there's nothing, so, and God isn't real, so basically I'm the best and everything's a joke to me. I'm not gonna take anything seriously because who cares? I believe that attitude, the whole nihilistic thing, sometimes it stems from a place of undealt with trauma. I know that there's so much emphasis on mental health these days, which is really, really great to see. But I feel like something we're missing. And in my opinion, I am not like a psychologist. Based on my experiences, I believe that things like depression don't just, you're not damned with them for the rest of your life because you were born that way. Like, I don't believe that. And yes, they can sometimes be genetically transferred from your parents, depression, but I think there was a reason why your mom was depressed or your dad, and a reason why that passed on to you because you were surrounded with that your whole life. And by trauma, it doesn't have to be a huge, dramatic, horrible thing that happened, and sometimes it is 100%. But those things, the big, huge, like dramatic happenings, such as something like, for example, something as traumatic as rape, in society's eyes, for most of us, hopefully, rape is extremely serious and horrible, which it is. And that is why it's stigmatized, and if you have been raped, you are automatically like encouraged to see psychologists about it and try and work it out and heal from it. All I'm saying is that's a trauma, but there's also other types of trauma that are not as emphasized. Little things that you remember from your childhood that have always stuck with your brain till now, that is a sign of a memory and an experience in your life that deeply affected you. And it's because it's stuck with you. That's why it's important. And it may have shaped who you are today, and it kind of could have like messed you up a bit, especially because you haven't even recognized it as a trauma. For example, as a kid, I always had kind of eating disorder problems, even at the age of like 10. I saw myself as like chubby when I was like tiny, and I always had those kind of problems. I had bulimia for a few years. That's a whole nother video. But like, I know that it stems from the little things when I was a kid, such as like, comments from somebody, or food being kind of a weird thing. And it's like, though it was something small as a kid, it builds up when you don't work it out and you don't recognize it and you don't unravel it. It just builds up and it gets worse inside you. And then, because from then, when I was young, and those eating issues, as I grew up and throughout high school, I never saw myself as good enough because I had these issues as a kid and they only grew, and I only saw myself as a body, the skin on me. I didn't realize that there was anything deeper to me because I was so caught up on these traumas from my past that I hadn't worked out, and I was super insecure, and I would deal with it by on the weekends I would go to parties and get drunk, and then I'd be able to talk to people and just go up to guys because I no longer felt insecure. And that's how I dealt with it. But drugs is escapism, and I knew every other day I was depressed, I was sad, but drugs isn't the way to fix your problems. It's only going to like numb them for a bit, and then they're just going to get worse because you keep now you can only talk to people when you're drunk. Well, there's another layer, like, do you know what I mean? So these traumas are serious, and it could stem from so many things, like your parents divorcing. Yeah, it's a common thing these days, but those little memories, they can mess you up if you don't deal with them in the right way. And that is why we can carry these nihilistic attitudes, because we think, okay, what's the point of anything anymore, because my life is damned because I'm not confident and I feel ugly and I feel not good enough. And that's where it stems from. And as well as that, people deal with, like the whole uh, the trauma, bottled up trauma in different ways. Some people, like I did, like I would bottle up, and I would just remain really shy and awkward, and really sad, and yeah, escape through alcohol. But some people can create superiority complexes because they think, well, um, you know, because there's nothing higher than me in the world. Like, there's no higher being, there's no one. Therefore my actions don't matter. I can do what I want, I'm the best. And then they think that out of insecurity, their ego grows because it's all they're clinging on to, because they are so broken inside. If that makes sense. When you have this trauma, and if you look, I'm not gonna lie, everyone has it, because everyone has shit in their life that they probably haven't dealt with. And you kind of feel like, okay, well, it doesn't matter, I'm just not gonna deal with it, I'm gonna ignore it. But no, it never works that way. So the important thing is to deal with your truths and deal with your trauma. You understand yourself, because through understanding your trauma, you are able to love yourself. Because that is the ticket. Loving yourself is the ticket to happiness, the ticket to a good life, the ticket to manifesting what you want in life. You can get anything with love, because once you do something with love, you can achieve anything. You gotta stop repressing the trauma. Everyone has trauma, but it's about how we deal with it. And in my opinion, some of the best ways to deal with your trauma is to I know, meditation, it's a hard one, because meditation, number one, it's hard to meditate. It's really hard to meditate, because it requires you to sit still and control your mind, and especially someone who's very repressed and likes to be distracted all the time, that is really hard to do, to meditate and let your mind relax. It's really hard. But meditation, I'm telling you, because it basically allows your mind to not have all these random like tangents and crazy thoughts. It actually it'll be a bit hard at first in the first couple of minutes, and your mind will just relax and you can see a clear line through your thoughts. And then once you reach that point, after a 10-minute meditation, 10 minutes, that's all you need. I do it whenever I'm feeling overwhelmed. A 10-minute meditation. I have a really good guided meditation that I always listen to, and I'll link it in the bio if you want to also try it out. Anyway, and then once you've meditated, you are in a state of being. You are no longer controlled by your thoughts. You are in touch with your soul. Your thoughts and decisions aren't impacted by whatever's going on in your life, whatever shit, because it's just you and your soul right now, because you've calmed everything down. And basically, another thing that's important to do after this is, because you're in this state of being and you're very relaxed, a good thing to do is to get out a journal. I have a journal. I will show you it. Yeah, so get out a journal. I've been keeping a journal. It's just this random book. And what you do is you can write in it, and write about things that have happened in your life. And you can start with the recent thing that bothered you, because that's like easier. I should pick this up. That's easier, the recent thing. And then you need to empathize with yourself, and you need to empathize with the other person. And you need to not criticize yourself or criticize the other person that may or not be involved, but empathize and understand, because understanding is loving. So, for example, let's just create a scenario. You messed up on the weekend. What you did was you drank heaps of alcohol, and then you kissed your friend's boyfriend. Just an example. And you know, that could swallow you alive. That could make you think, shit, I really am a bad person, I'm horrible, and that's the end. But no, because the truth is that you are a victim of your trauma and your circumstances. So you could instead of freaking out about that, what you could do is empathize with yourself. Say, recognize that it was wrong and it wasn't, but no, you know that it's that you did it for a reason. You didn't do it because you're a malicious person. Because you're not a malicious person. You're not evil. You're not trying to ruin your friend's life. So what you need to do is reflect. So just for example, you could say, okay, I hooked up with my friend's boyfriend on the weekend. I feel horrible, but that doesn't define who I am, because I know I did it out of insecurity, because my whole life I have been extremely insecure with myself, and I only feel validated when I get with boys. And it's shit, but now this is like a wake-up call for me, because now I've recognized that I am a very insecure person, and I need to work on loving myself and loving everything in my path and my life that has brought me to this moment, and understanding it so I don't have to make those mistakes again. That is the attitude we need to keep, because if you go into life with an attitude saying, oh, I've messed up once now, I hooked up with my friend's boyfriend, my life's shit now, I'm just gonna do more drugs on the weekend. No, that's really, really bad, because that's how the cycle continues. But you got to stop yourself at that lowest point, and sometimes it takes the lowest point, sadly, to wake us up. Sometimes, and you can try stopping yourself before, but sometimes it takes that rock bottom to wake you up and make you realize, all right, I need to just understand myself, because this isn't me anymore. This is out of my character. And that is where we become mindful, we become happier, and we become in touch with who we are as people. And that is why understanding yourself and not criticizing yourself is the most important thing, and understanding other people in your life and not criticizing them, because understanding and empathy is the most powerful tool in the world. Avoid repressing, avoid escapism through drugs, and avoid ignoring your traumas, and instead meditate, journal, empathize, and that is how you will become a better person in the end. And yeah, so I hope you enjoyed this. I don't know why I clap. Some people, YouTubers do that. Yeah, that is why I 100% recommend keeping a journal, because journals are really good, because instead of having these crazy thought loops that you'll have if you're just trying to work out shit in your head, you can write it down and keep it, and you can write a solution. That you always have to have a solution when you're writing in a journal, though. You can't just write, my day was shit, I have a shit life. No, you have to find a solution when you're writing. You go, my day was shit, and it is because blah blah blah, and therefore I'm going to, because if you don't have a solution, the cycle will continue. That is, we need solutions, we need answers. Nihilism is not the way. It's not, because if you're nihilistic, there's no solution. The truth is that we are one with the universe. We are sourced from the stardust. We forget about that. We have a soul that needs to be nourished. So thank you for watching. If you reached this point, I hope you did, because I want to help you. Anyway, thank you for watching. I'll see you guys later. Bye.